raise the money according to the policies that come from the public education department. It says that you raise the money every year to get you, and you basically list it, you know, it's not, we're not here to have a savings account per se, is what it is what they're saying, is what they say.
So like we shouldn't be penalizing these clubs that have worked hard to fundraise and that do have kids that get out there and hustle and raise these funds. They shouldn't be punished of, oh no, now you guys have to pay for it out of your funds.
Well, the
But,
athletic
you know, for
department took advantage of our lunch, our cafeteria staff, and they started taking advantage of we providing the meals for them, and they saved lots of money.
Lots of money.
But I understand that's not feasible down at state.
I wouldn't have a problem with upping $7.50 to 10.
To 10.
And like the big lunch to like
18
17.
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't see a major problem with that, cause
So the
McDonald's cost me
policy,
$80 the other day.
the policy is the part that's above the box. The box is your procedure, so we'd be adjusting your procedure, not your policy. So your procedure would change, you're recommending that it would be a range of $7.50 to $10 a meal, and then $13.50 to $15 a meal.
I think we could even go 17. It's, I mean,
17?
truly.
Okay,
With the soda, I mean, you're there.
okay.
Which, just so y'all know, they
wanna
There's
see that.
nobody, well, they do, I mean, and they don't hold it, we don't hold them to the $7.50, if they go over that, it's still split 50, it's a split 50/50.
And it
But this way, at least we've got it
In
spelled out.
writing, and it depends on where they go. If you're going over here to the fair, you're buying something at the concession or on the back of a truck and it's not very expensive.
Right.
If you're going to state and you're having to go to a restaurant in St. Louis or somewhere.
Or
it's
the
gonna be more
state fair.
expensive.
I
Or the
would
state
walk,
odd.
we used to walk to the San
Ching,
Pedro
ching,
McDonald's, and I
ching.
wouldn't trust Landon to walk there at all,
Oh,
just because of where it is
absolutely
now.
So you're saying we're fine with the policy, all you gotta do is change in the procedure?
We'll change his procedure, we'll make that note in his procedures.
I so moved.
Second, and Mrs. Collins, thank you.
Okay. Next one is,
International.
what?
This is, this one.
So, this one was revised. Make it bigger so you can read that.
Oh, let's see, we did this one.
Say it again?
We need to do the
Board of Education
Board
meal
of
support.
Meal support, where it's the
Oh, I
over,
skipped
over
one, I'm
50
sorry.
miles.
Let's go back to
306.
306.3.1.
Skipped one, I got all excited.
Alright, here we go, we're on the right one.
So it's over 50 miles, which is basically they don't get a meal if they go to Mountaineer, and they don't get a meal if they're in Edgewood, or in Moriarty. The rest of them, they pretty much, Edgewood might be too, well, I'm not sure, but I know when they get to East Mountain, they're over 50.
So we good with that?
Yeah.
Been moved, Mrs. Collins,
Second.
second, Mr. Wagner, thank you. Now,
Okay. I want to pull up this, international policy and make sure it's the right one. This says it was adopted in 2019, and I wanna, let me look in my policy folder. What number is this one? 306.34.
Right, this one doesn't look like it was the,
This one's not in the document.
right, this doesn't look to be the revision.
I'm not looking.
6.34. I don't see it.
Yeah, there was, we added that if the funding is 100%. I
Let me see
don't
if I
know.
can find it, here it is. So, here is and it was revised
There we go.
in, looking, cause
Go down, it's right there. Oh, it's too full. Go down sometimes.
this looks like, well, maybe that is the right one.
this is
2/12,
probably the right one, cause this is when Daniel
That's what it
Lujan
says.
and those
Yeah.
boys went and judged in Scotland.
Right.
And
Okay,
that's probably
Well,
about the
because
right
20 is,
time.
because the next year
Yeah,
in
it was
20 is when
COVID.
COVID hit, and so
Yeah.
they.
And we didn't go
this was done.
anywhere.
It was 19, that's it.
We
No,
didn't go
you're in the
anywhere.
right one.
Okay, so we've got the right one, I just wanted to make sure after you brought
But
that
the
up.
revision, on the other page you were on,
That
it
was
had the
different.
revision we were talking about.
Yeah.
If you
This
go, it
Right
is
there.
intended to cover expenses remaining after fundraising has been completed, because that was a gray area
And
that,
that's not in there.
And it's not
It's
in
not
there.
in here.
It says it was adopted on 2/12, but that part is, the red is not in there.
And if you look at this technical, yeah, it doesn't.
Uh-uh.
The date of this document is 11/8/2019.
Yeah.
I was going to say I came in, 2019, but this was a concern
Yeah.
after I came, and it looks like I brought this, so I'll go back and look in the previous, board documents to see when this was actually adopted. But the, document was originated on 11/8/2019.
We're not gonna have anybody going on a national trip for a while. so
No,
we
but
have
this
time.
is an annual revision, but what you're agreeing to is this policy here, not the one in your board book.
Yeah.
that policy is the accurate
That
policy.
one's right, with the red.
Yeah. And the reason that was done is
Because they.
because they had fundraised the whole amount, and then there was some question of, well, do they get to divide up and it became very slippery.
They had leftover
and-
money
yeah.
that they were going to distribute that
Yeah,
had been
and
raised.
They were gonna end up getting
For
like
10,000.
4 grand, and so we wanted to make it clear that we are covering expenses remaining after fundraising.
And I apologize, I have made an assumption that when we adopt the policies, that they get moved over, and that hasn't been happening. So we'll have to fix that.
I move that we approve the policy on screen.
Moved Mr. Winder, seconded Mrs. Collins, thank you.
It's the one from 11/8.
Pardon?
It's the one from 11/8.
11/8? Yes.
I got on my agenda. I got on my agenda.
Okay, that's the end of that part. Now we're on the financials.
So, Mr. President, let me really go on, before you have your expenditure, your revenue, your expenses over 5,000, reprint of your checks, payment of bills, activity report, investment report, and all bars. All of the bars, there is several, they are maintenance bars, the 105 through 116, and then the very last one, is the prepaid. That was the, second award. If you'll remember that Dr. Sims went to bat for us when they had turned us down on that second pre-K class. So that's adding this. The budget was already ran through all of the dates that PED has, and so they didn't let us add it. So it wasn't on their July 1, but we're not too many days past. So.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions about any payments?
The activity report,
It's on there?
yes, the numbers don't line up. Or they didn't on the version I was looking at this morning, we were off by quite a bit.
Well, it was a training day, so let's see what we've done wrong.
That's the previous training.
Are you talking about 23-102 and down?
Yeah, what part of it doesn't?
I mean, your numbers down in the yellow were not, let me zoom in on it real quick.
We've got the
I mean,
beginning balance.
Your
at
math was not
137.
okay. Cause it looked, I looked at it and went, what?
There was bad with the formulas.
I don't.
The revenue, the ending balance, the revenue.
Because your, yeah, your revenue and your ending balance are, like $20 difference between those two numbers, and that doesn't include the other two.
Formula may not have followed this.
take that 148 and expenditures out, the ending balance should be less. Is that what you're saying, Ms. Collins?
I'm saying there was something going on the whole way through. I went through and added them up because they didn't look right, and those bottom column numbers, the only one I got the same number was on the expenses.
So you're saying going down, they're not right?
Going down, they're not right, and then going across on your grand totals.
It's missing 5. And that total is not in that column. Let's see what happened, it missed the first row. That makes a big difference. It does, and that one's gonna be, oops. That one's gonna be the same. Yeah, it's just missing the first column of line 5
I was just trying to figure out what was,
in all of them,
Oh,
yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
Oh, no, that one's got 5 in it. B5. That one does not. So the revenue, the expenditures had the 5 in there, but the other ones did not. Did you get 163, 198, 148, and 213?
yes.
Okay.
Gotta
So,
look
yeah.
this up.
It's just, yeah, it just was missing the top cell, yeah, which is the district.
Oh, it just didn't pick it up.
It didn't pick it up, yeah. It was probably in us saving and going back and forth, it was a train, we did, Kelly and I was trying to show her how to use my form, and so it was probably something that when we were moving things over, but that's it.
Do you wanna go across the numbers on the corrected one on the bottom, Marla?
I can. And I just gave Kelsey the first 3 numbers and she agreed with me, so it's 163, 163,297.99,
And that's under which column?
that's beginning balance.
Beginning.
Which is C, and then you've got revenue of $198,881. And expenditures of $148,181.24. Leaving a balance of $213,917.56.
Thank you.
Yeah, we just missed a row.
No, that one I just, the numbers weren't right. They
Yeah.
were,
Thank you for helping us with that, appreciate it.
So do I have motion for approval of the consent financials, including all these bars?
So moved.
Been moved,
second.
seconded, thank you.
Thank you.
Moves us to other, do we have to have an executive session?
We were supposed to have an executive session tonight, sort of go over feedback for me and set, goals for next year. I do want that, however, I prefer to have my board here. I'm missing some. If you wanna start and be continued, or if you wanna table for next month, I'm prepared with, documents for you, but it's the board's wishes, the board that's here.
Okay, we can wait till next meeting if that's, if we have a chance to have.
Either way, it's at the discretion of you. If you want your board here, then I think we should wait till you have,
Well, and I know that, Mr. Sander and I have talked a couple times, and I am, anticipating some new goals, you know, but I don't think that August is too late to set them.
okay.
Move that we adjourn.
You moved
Oh, you did, awesome. You move to adjourn?
I
I second.
Been moved and seconded for adjournment, thank you.
8:18.
So when are you guys gonna talk about shorty stuff?
We ain't tonight, 'cause it ain't on the agenda.
I know.
And we got
But I will
all of it.
get it on the agenda for August.
Just for
I
him to talk, or
apologize.
for you guys to decide? Sounds like this has been 2 years in the making.
It has to be put on the agenda.
I know
It can't
that.
it can't be made as a decision though.
You can't
You
decide
can't-
whether or
no,
not you're
you
gonna
can't.
decide something?
You have to put it on the agenda to have a discussion first.
Okay, so then you'll have a discussion, and then after that, you can put on the agenda if you're gonna decide?
I would assume so.
What about the PAC, the parent, or school advisory committees, and the fact that it's not equitable? Is that gonna be addressed?
We would need to put that on the agenda as well for the next.
So, is there any point in the public coming to these? You say that you get mad at us, or that that parents don't come, they don't get involved, you get mad if we leave, but then you don't address anything that we talk about. So what is the point? How do we address these things? When do we address them? I'm serious, I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Take your kids out of school.
But I still care about the other kids.
I think the concept is you come and you present that, and then the administration puts it on the agenda for us to have a conversation on.
But
I
I already
don't-
talked to her about it.
But I'm not a big fan of rushing to any conversation. I think you've heard me say before, I don't speak on anything until I have a chance to research it. So I think getting it on the agenda is imperative.
Well, the parent advisory committee is, meeting in 2 weeks, and they only meet 4 times a year, so they can't really wait to meet, to have it on the agenda.
Yeah, it
And
came
I
up.
brought this up multiple times to the superintendent, so how, what?
People submitted applications to that, PAC thing, was it a couple months ago? When Rob submitted his.
During the
First one?
recorded school board meeting.
Yeah, so if you haven't had time to research it that amount of time, I don't know how much more you're gonna need.
Well, again, though, we're not in charge of setting up the PACs. We're not in charge as a school board.
But
We
you're-
don't get to set up who's on that.
But you set up the policy of what they're supposed to follow, and they're not following it, so then what happens?
I'm not gonna speak, I don't know enough to tell you definitively. I
So,
do not know enough to say.
Mr. President, members of the board, at the school advisory policy that's in question, we revised it and adopted it at the last, and there was discussion about the composition of the group. As I recorded it here, that there would be 7 teachers, a minimum of 1 member of the business community, not to exceed the number of parents on the committee. And as was communicated by Ms. Hunt earlier, she said there would be 7 teachers, 7 parents, and 7 community members. That's not the policy that we adopted. The policy we adopted says 7 parents, no more than 7 parents, no more than 7 teachers, and a minimum of 1 member of the business community, not to exceed the number of parents on the committee. We did not say that we would have 7.
I had a recording, if you guys wanna watch it, because I recorded it.
So, if you want me to bring this policy back for review, I can.
The meeting's
But-
in 2 weeks.
These were the, notes that were made at the last meeting when we adopted.
You already said you're not great at taking notes, so. I have it on record, and you said in the instructions and during that time, that if there were more than 7 applicants, you'd have an election.
Is there more than 7 applicants?
I don't know, but people who applied are not on.
I will say that what we put in the policy as recorded here was that if we had more than 7 parents, we would have an election. We did not say we'd have an election for, community members.
Well, there's
So,
2 people assigned as community members that are parents that are listed in the thing. There's a teacher that's assigned as a parent, so your whole thing is jacked up. This needs to be resolved before it happens in 2 weeks.
It's very curious that the way it is mistakenly, implemented just so happens to exclude the person who has made sexual, harassment and assault allegations.
The
I'm
very
just
first
saying,
person who applied.
It could become a legal issue if somebody construes it as retaliation, I'm just saying.
So,
Last month meeting, she mentioned that there weren't enough people applied, and she was going through the applications. That board meeting, 2 months prior, there were, you had a stack of yellow papers of people that wanted to join.
so those were community members, yes, ma'am.
Well, some of those
It was
were,
parents that we didn't have in there,
he's
Well,
a
you didn't know I
parent.
was gonna be a community
He's
member
under
or
community
parent.
as a parent.
Yeah.
so.
And we haven't declared whether or not we're homeschooling our kids. We are still
Happy
parents
to
of
look at
kids
what
in your
the
school.
principals have, put forward for their committees, to make sure we have a balance on the committees. I'll
You having
send
who look at
the,
that? Sorry.
I'll send the.
I can't hear. Who is looking into it?
Excuse me, I'll talk to I'll send you a copy, and we posted it on the
Cindy,
website.
she's addressing,
so-
she's asking you questions about who you're sending it to,
Sir,
and you're just
I'm
ignoring
talking
all
to
of
my
us.
board
The
member.
one thing that you
Yeah,
accidentally
that's it.
skipped over here today, just so happened to be the parent, you know, it was something that involved parents today. You had to be reminded to go back to it. This looks really bad, Cindy.
Mr. Falconer is a parent and he's under community.
Yep.
So that doesn't make sense.
So, Mr. Falconer has a foster child.
Yes,
as I
according to state
understand.
statute, that counts as a parent.
And at the time, and that's a good thing, and she's lucky to have such a good family,
Full
Mr.
story,
Falconer.
get to the point.
Please don't be rude.
I can't
You
help it,
are.
you're being rude
You're
by
being
ignoring
rude.
us over and over and
And
over.
laughing at our concerns,
I'm
And
Cindy.
you
not
just
laughing.
smile
Yes,
away.
you are smiling and
I
laughing at us.
smile all the time.
Yes, I know.
And I
Good for you.
appreciate
You're
it,
so-
we're not friends, and I'd appreciate you if you'd address me as Dr. Sims.
I will call you Cindy because you haven't gained my respect.
Mr.
Okay,
Falconer.
hold
Sorry,
on,
this
hold on.
meeting's adjourned.
We-
Okay,
everybody,
cool.
please,
The meeting's
Mr.
adjourned, but that doesn't mean we can't talk.
Mr.
I know, but
Falconer.
we need to be, there needs to be a respect shown. to
You're not
everyone.
she's not
She has not
respectful to
respected
us.
us at all.
How are we supposed to get this addressed?
But at the same time, her thing
So,
is.
Mr. President, if I have a complaint about Cindy, who do I go to? Do I go to you? Who do I go to?
At
Mr.
what
President,
time?
I'm asking you. Who
At
do I
what
go to?
time
Do I
do
go
we-
to you?
This is recorded, by the way, so.
Yes, I am
I'm sure
making-
people
I am-
are gonna
I am-
not be happy.
Mr. Falconer, at the time that, they selected the committee for the high school, nobody knew, and then we were looking at the orange paper that you filled out, and you, at that time, you weren't listed as a parent, you were listed as a community member. That was based before you had a foster child.
No,
But I,
they've had
but
the
I
foster
can,
child.
but I can work with Ms. Lynn now on that. She saw you and thought you were a community member. We know that you have grandkids that go here, but we didn't know that at that time you had a foster child and she viewed you as a community member. But I can work with Ms. Lynn now on that. Okay.
So why don't you address, like,
Thank you.
it'd be a whole lot simpler if you addressed that before we get to this point and respond to emails about this. Why do you wait to this point? Like the Title I thing, you waited till we were all mad before you addressed.
I'm sorry I'm behind on my emails, but I'll try and get caught up on them.
Well, how are you delegating some dang stuff?
Is it because we're not friends? Is that why I'm not on the PAC? Is it because we're not friends, Cindy?
Sir, I didn't select the PACs.
And is it
Those were done
because
by
we're
the
not friends
you
that
give
you
them the
won't return my
applications?
calls when you promise me you're gonna return my calls? Is
I
that right?
promised I would communicate with you.
You
and I have.
promised me that you would give me a phone call.
Part of it is the lack of respect that I feel, sir, that I choose not
From the
to.
beginning,
From the
you've been
The lack of respect, Cindy, we walked into your room and you were totally respectful to you. You even said, Mr. Wagner, I'm surprised that you are being so, you maintain your composure. I would be upset here. I have been nothing but respectful to you. That's why I came here upset with you, Cindy.
I'm going to
It looks
have-
like retaliation.
It does look like
Yeah, it
retaliation.
looks like it could be a lawsuit, is what I'm thinking. Board members, seriously, how do we do this?
Yeah, I wanna know, who do I make a complaint to about this woman here?
I believe you just made it.
Okay, but no,
So it doesn't have to
the
be
phone,
written?
I wanna make a phone complaint on this guy said I talked to him, so I wanna make a phone. When do you have office hours?
I don't have office hours.
So how do I make an appointment?
What?
How do I make an appointment?
You can call me,
What's your number?
384-3125.
384, what's that?
3125.
Okay, and your name?
Randall Riley.
Randall Riley.
Well, don't say it if you don't actually want us here. No, you don't. What?
Doesn't look good, fellas.
Okay.
It's a
Do
bad
you
look.
want parent involvement or not? No, I'm serious. I really don't know what you guys want from us.
The
They're
parental
leaving
involvement
parents out of
policy,
the advisory councils. You want to be on, what do you want?
and according to the Title I,
San Diego,
uh,
Riverside, San Bernardino.
requirements in the application, the parental involvement policy is supposed to be written, a collaborative output between parents and the district and the school. And I don't remember being involved in revising that or, so you can't in good faith, and I've been holding back, you can't in good faith submit an application for Title I saying that you, cause one of the
The difference though is you submitted it was submitted with the secondary change that states we did not have that, and then the state approved it. That's where your argument
talking
of
about
good
parent
faith is
involvement.
absolutely incorrect.
No,
He's talking about
she said that about the compact. She told, in her application, she stated that they had the parental involvement policy, it was a compact that she said she felt was insufficient, she changed it. Yeah, so.
Still don't have it, it's still not on the website. 112 is not on the website, it goes from 110 to 119.
I mean, you guys hired her, so aren't you responsible for her?
Yep. She's putting you in peril, guys.
This is, seriously, some of this stuff is seriously troublesome.
It's not just her bond that she's putting at risk, it's your bond as well. It's your bond as well that she's putting at risk.
And both those advisory committees were announced right before the principals went on their 3-week vacation, so you couldn't get in touch with them about it. I've written emails.
You can't keep them, they're under contract.
Why would they put it out right before they went on vacation? Why not put it out before?
Randall, the optics are horrible.
I met
Those are
with
horrible optics.
I met with Ms. Gonzalez beforehand, and she said she was gonna send emails for us to what we should be prepared for, what we're gonna go over in the committee, and she didn't. She didn't send any of that. All she did was announce what the council was about. I'm on one of the councils gratefully, but it's just like ridiculous.
He was like the first one to apply.
The very first one.
And he was excluded, and he's the only one who's made I'm just telling you, it does not look good. You follow me? And we're trying to be very, she's convinced, or she was convinced, that we can work together with you guys and that we can turn this around.
I got shorty there.
But
You can't give me no good ones.
you're missing